This is the youngest in charge movement, Lynnell Willingham from 106.7 The Fan. You're watching Ref the District.
Life is good.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. We're bringing you the latest and greatest here on the poor ending of the Wizards season. Unfortunately, the Big Three Stoner unable to secure a playoff position for our DC fan base. You know, they get paid quite a bit, Stoners. Is there a problem with them not making it? Would you run it back with these three?
Ooh, that's a question we're going to have to take a deep dive into here later as we go on with our guest. But would I? No. Would the Wizards front office currently? Probably. But I wouldn't do that. As much as I like those three guys, it obviously didn't work, even in the small sample size. So to answer your question, no, I would not run it back.
Yeah, I definitely think it would be hard to run it back with them, but it's good to have one of 106.7's the finest here with us. This is Lynnell Willingham. Appreciate you jumping on the show
that's
here
awesome
with
you
us.
guys have that. I don't remember that the last time I was on here.
This is my new toy that my wife got me. I guess not new; it's a couple months old, but we do appreciate you jumping back on with us. Right now. Bradley Beal got paid. Kuzma is out there saying that he's going to get his bag. Of course, KP's decision is probably going to be, foregoing his next year to go get his bag. But before we talk about the Wizards, it looks like Dan Snyder's going to get his bag. Just moments before we had you come on here to talk the Wiz, the news broke about the Commanders agreeing in principle. Dan Snyder's agreed in principle with the Harris Group to sell the Washington Commanders. Any thoughts on that right now as you're enjoying this beautiful day? This is a great day for a parade. Hopefully it's like this next year when we do our annual Commanders parade.
Yeah, hopefully, man. Look, as a 25-year-old fan of the team, and I haven't really seen a lick of success, this is like the greatest thing that could ever happen. And really in the last couple of years, it's been underscored like how bad of an owner Dan Snyder was, because early on, being a young guy, I don't really care about that. I just know that we stunk. I didn't know why we stunk. But knowing that this guy been the root of all evil, and to know that he's finally on the way out, man, everybody should be celebrating, all ages and every demographic. This could go down, April 13th can go down as one of the greatest days in DC sports history, man.
Woo! That's saying something. I mean, we've had some pretty big days, but you're right.
This is as close as we're going to get to a championship for this franchise, and like you said, in nearly 30 plus years. So yeah, I understand 25 years, all under Dan Snyder really, and none of it's been good. This season for the Washington Wizards also not good, Lynnell.
Yeah.
I asked Stoner there about the Big Three and would you run it back? And I'm going to pose that same question to you. I mean, these guys are looking to get paid and Washington might be willing to pay them. Would you run it back with Bradley Beal, Kyle Kuzma, and Kristaps Porzingis?
So I feel like it's like two answers to that question. Like, because of the Bradley Beal contract, which is the big elephant in the room, that would be why I wouldn't want to run it back, because I feel like they've got to get off of that contract as quickly as they can and before it's too late. But seeing that they only played, 35 games together last year, it's really not a big enough sample size to me to see whether or not that trio is actually going to be effective. We saw how good Bradley Beal and Porzingis were in the two-man game. That's something that could be one of the most, deadly duos in basketball if you really look at the analytics and how good they were. Kyle Kuzma in the equation sometimes feels like the outlier and the X factor. Like they always speak about how, they don't draw plays for him and things like that. He kind of has to get his offense on his own. And I wonder sometimes, does he think he could go find greener pastures and find a bigger role? Because really he's the number 3. Yeah. But to me, I think the way that Kristaps Porzingis played this year, I'm signing him under all circumstances. Like this was the Kristaps Porzingis that went top 5 in the draft 8 seasons ago. Like he's doing it on the defensive end. He shot the ball really well. I just think the sky's the limit for him, and he's healthy. So I'm intrigued by that. But to answer the question, yeah, I guess you'll run it back. But the folks that, when I say the 35 games that they only played together, the record was 16-19, I believe. So
yeah,
the sample size says they weren't that good together. But I just think they've got to have improvement from within. they've got to hit on this lottery pick that they have, and hope that everybody gets better.
I did a deep dive on the guys playing together and when they played and when they didn't. And it's true, it is 35 games, but there were 2 games where Beal played like 5 minutes and then left. And that I didn't count that, but that makes sense. But a little bit deeper dive on that. And they went 16 and 17. That's obviously not good enough, but that's not terrible. As bad as their overall
make the playoff in either division there.
Yeah. See, though, Nathan, like that's the issue for me though. Like the bar is too low. It can't just be to make the playoffs. Like when are we gonna finally have this city, this great basketball town, be considered as a championship contender? That's what we want. We've seen playoffs. I've seen playoffs. Gilbert, the John Wall and Bradley Beal years. It was fun.
Yeah.
But like it was all because we thought, hey, maybe we can win a title. Who knows? You're drunk at that point as a fan. You're in the playoffs.
Right. But when they were 30, 38 or 34 and 38 with Westbrook in that shortened season, and they got in the play-in and they ended up winning. But you knew they didn't have a shot against the Sixers. They had no shot, even with Westbrook playing.
So that's what your playoff opportunities are going to look like. I'd rather be on the couch trying to swing for something bigger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking also, let's look at some of the positives, right? And there's plenty to look at with the negatives, and that's all. We need that accountability. But some of the positives, and I think the biggest positive for me is I thought the leap for Corey Kispert from year 1 to year 2 was huge. Yes. We did not see this coming, the leap that he took. We hoped it would happen, but just to see his shooting, and also he started going to the basket a lot more than we expected. He was dunking on guys at times, and we're whoa, where did this come from? Could that be the Kyle Kuzma replacement, or is he not quite there yet?
I think
in the mid 3 or the big 3.
The mid 3. I think that's a really interesting question. I kind of look at him as like that 4th piece for them. If Kuzma's going to be involved, if he has to step up and create offense the way that Kuz does and bringing the ball up the floor, I don't know if I want Corey Kispert doing that. I like the way that he's improved as an isolation scorer. He's always been really good off the ball and cutting and things like that. But like you said, though, his ability to put the ball on the floor, I think, is the next evolution of his game. And he looked comfortable doing it. So I see what you mean by potentially like trying to expand his role. I was able to ask Wes Unseld Jr. like close to season's end whether or not they can see him evolving into the 4th scorer. And he said that's the hope. So clearly they've got high expectations for him. And I think you should, because like you said, that was the biggest positive to me was the jump that he was able to make.
Well, the other 2 young guys that we were hoping were going to make the jump were Rui Hachimura and Denny. Rui was traded mid-season, and Denny had like a 3-game stretch where he looked pretty good, but overall he's still just Denny Avdia. So is there anything we can still hope for the development there when it comes to Denny, especially now that Rui's out and there's this room for either Corey or Denny to kind of grow?
I believe so. Like I'm still a firm believer in Denny. I like the mental makeup of Denny. I think he's somebody that cares and gets it. It's never going to be because of a lack of effort put in because of Denny Avdia. He's somebody that puts in a lot of hours in the gym compared to other guys, around the league. Like that's something that guys have told me. Like he puts in work. So it's not because of that. It's really a mental thing when it comes to Denny Avdia. And he's been very open about it. The coaching staff's been very open about it, and his teammates have been very open about it. When Denny is confident and going and playing aggressive, you saw it in the game that he scored 25 against Boston. Like, this is like, whoa, where did this guy come from? When he's got it going and he's getting downhill and he's able to create for others and hit spot-up jump shots, like there's a role for him in the NBA. Like you guys said, though, he's got to continue to take that next step. And when you talk about their willingness to run this thing back, I think they are truly banking on guys just getting better. And when you talk about how good teams are built, you got to draft and develop. We always complain that, the picks don't work out, but we also see them give up on the pick sometimes prematurely. I don't think it's a coincidence that Troy Brown is all of a sudden playing with the Lakers and getting starters minutes. I don't think it's a coincidence that he's a part of their rotation. We've seen that with other guys. Kelly Oubre has gone on to greener pastures and done well. Otto Porter is a player in this league, but not $100 million player like they paid him. But you see what I'm saying? You know, it always seems like they kind of give up on guys. I think that's something that isn't spoken about enough.
Speaking of giving up on guys, I've given up already. You guys don't like this about me. I've given up on Johnny Davis. I saw what he did the last week of the season when he got minutes. And believe me, if I got out there and I got 30 to 34 minutes a game, I could put up 17 out there because it's
Stoner,
just,
I got you with a double-double. I'm not gonna hold you. I got you with a double-double, Stoner.
Oh yeah, I can dish it too, right? But I mean, he got minutes, so he's going to produce. Right. But I don't think they were necessarily productive minutes. I haven't dove into the stats, but it just I don't see the explosion. I don't see his ability to create his own shot. I don't see his ability to create space for his shot. I don't see it. And talk me off a ledge here. I'm already calling him a bust.
No, it's fair based off of the fact that he had to spend the amount of time in the G League that he had to spend. He clearly was not ready to come in and contribute right away, which is where the scrutiny comes with that pick. Because if you look at the way this roster is constructed, that pick from last year, he needed to come in and contribute. Like that's what they were banking on. So the fact that he had to spend so much time, that's fair enough. That's enough to call it a bust. But I do think, like the other guys, like he's going to be able to carve out a niche for himself in the league. The one thing that I did like in that final stretch of the season where we saw him, be aggressive is once he decided he was going downhill, he made his mind up and he got downhill. Like that's what you saw from him at Wisconsin. And this is a young man that I think I agree with you too, though. The athleticism feels like it's kind of lacking, but that's something you get in an NBA strength and conditioning program. That's something that can improve. I don't think it's far behind to the point where he's got sneaky bounce and sneaky athleticism is what I'll say. He's got length on him. The one thing that they always talk about when they talk about the positives with Johnny is the way that he plays defense. And I do think that early on in his career, that may have to be his calling card. They've got to do something with his shot, though. The shot mechanic is just too slow, and he's not able to get his shot off, which is why you see him taking the amount of floaters he's taking. He can't get to his dribble pull-up because it takes too long to get off. So he's got to do some work in the lab this summer. I think he's got the tools to be good, but the Wizards strength and development and their player coaches and the guys who are responsible for the growth and development of guys, they're going to have to show their tails off with him because he needs some work.
And so it's been 2 seasons under Wes Unseld Jr., both kind of disappointing from all standpoints. What does he have to do in year 3 to keep his job? Because we've seen NBA coaches come and go in other programs. Atlanta's done it, even with playoff coaches. So the Wizards, like you said, DC's a basketball town, and they've got to be better. And I can't imagine we go 3 years with the same coach not winning. So what does he have to do to keep his job past this 3rd season?
I'm going to sound like a trained media member, but if he could have a healthy roster to work with, I think that would be a positive for him to be able to get some consistencies in the lineups that he's going to have to throw out there. I think it's hard to judge Wes Unseld Jr. and the job he's done because the roster outside of Beal, Porzingis, Kispert, Kuzma, DeLone Wright, they just weren't very good. Daniel Gafford, I thought, played well. They just weren't very good. They weren't deep enough to me. And in the NBA, there's 82 games. You're going to have to be able to withstand injuries. When guys go out, you can't just go on 10-game losing streaks in a month. Like that's not going to get you in the postseason and where you're trying to go. So I think he's in a situation where it's like, I get why people are frustrated with him, but it's hard for me. I think I'm always been a firm believer of players play, coaches coach. Like they got to play better too. But as far as him putting them in position to succeed, like the trio's worked, the balance of shots that he's got that to work. He's balanced the egos well. They seem like they like each other. There's that part of being a head coach that, I think he's done a pretty good job with trying to temper the, emotions of Denny Avdia. Like that's been something that they've had to work on. And he's, admitted that, he's needed to get better in the relationship building portion of being a coach and not trying to do everything and worry about, relationships more. So I think he'll be fine moving forward. He comes from a winning pedigree.
Sure.
I think, they'll be able to figure it out if they're able to get guys to get better and then get another DeLone Wright type of free agent signing.
Yeah. Well, I've got 2 problems with Wes. One is they come out like a house of fire on most nights. and they get off to these big leads, and Porzingis scores double digits every first quarter, it seems like. And they led the league in blown double-digit leads that led to losses this year. Yeah. They led the entire league. So he's obviously not making adjustments in the second halves or at certain points of the game when you feel the lead going. That's one big problem I have. The second one, ask Daniel Gafford if they run any plays for him. No. Kispert, do they run any plays for you? No. Kuzma, do they run any plays for you? No. Avdia, do they run any plays for you? No. They only run plays for KP and Beal. And maybe it is because those are the two money guys, right? Those are the guys making over $35 million a year, both of them. So maybe it does come down to that he has to listen to those guys. They say, I want my shots and I get paid all the money, so you better do it. Why can't these other guys get plays run for them?
I understand that. And I think that's a fair criticism. I said the same thing because the way Corey Kispert was shooting the ball this year, he's got to be getting 15-plus attempts a game. He's the best shooter
15
on the
threes.
Team. Yeah, like 50. He's the best shooter on the team by far. I do feel like that is egregious that he hasn't been able to get more shot attempts. That does, I guess, fall on coaching. So I understand the criticisms of Wes Unseld, but I also look at it from the standpoint of like, it's not that good. I think that's part of it too. Like, but Kispert, I like Kispert. I'm glad you showed him some love, man, because I hope more people do. He's the real deal, and I think he could turn into something.
Yeah,
and it might not be because of any credit of the Wizards staff. He just has that DNA.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Yeah. Stoner's been high on Kispert since the go. He called out that draft pick, I think like 3 or 4 days before the draft last year. And this year's draft, we know they're going to be looking for a point guard. Do you force a point guard, or do you just try to get the best player available wherever you land? Because obviously they're in the lottery again. Maybe they'll get lucky and get within the sweet spot. But obviously they got to take a point guard, right? There's no other choice.
I'm going to say something that's going to trigger a lot of people.
Hot take alert.
Depending on how the board falls and what's available in the veteran market, they're trying to win now. Do they want to wait on a rookie to come in and potentially get an unproven commodity? What if a good veteran's available for you that can come in and plug a hole in your rotation right away? You bank on everybody being healthy and you just run it back. Because I don't know. It depends on how the board shakes. I really like Anthony Black, the kid from Arkansas.
Yep, Arkansas.
He's got the size. He reminds me a lot of LaMelo Ball without the shot. And he plays really good defense. He's a scrappy guy. I think his ceiling is limitless. Like the fact that he's already able to handle the ball at 6'7" the way he can, and he's a true point guard. He can get guys involved. He's a dog. He's got athleticism, like everything that the Wizards lack. Like he's a really good prospect. I like him, and I hope if they get, say, the 8th pick, if he drops, that's my guy that you don't trade the pick no matter what for. But I haven't dug into the college guys like that yet. But he's one early on that I know. But I don't know. That scenario of maybe trading that pick, don't count it out. You know how this group operates.
What about this? Here's a trade offer for you, okay? Mr. Ernie Willingham, or not Ernie. I'm still stuck.
Yeah,
on
well, you might as well call him Ernie.
All right, Tommy Willingham, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you the 7th pick. Let's just say they end up with the 7th pick. I'm going to give you the 7th pick. I'm going to sign Kuzma, and I'm going to give you that as well. You got to sign him because he's unrestricted free agent as well. Fred VanVleet. All right, he's unrestricted free agent this year. Would you want VanVleet to be your point guard for the next 5-6 years at $35 million a year?
Well,
they get Kuzma and they get the 7th pick.
That would be a move that takes some stones, some onions.
Yeah.
To me, man, that would be. If you can get a tick above a tier VanVleet, yeah, I don't know. I would be. I already have my biases about Fred VanVleet. I think he's overrated from the get-go anyway. But so him here would be interesting. I'm not a big Fred VanVleet. I don't like small guards.
Sure.
I think that just hurts you at the end of the day, like when it matters. So
you would take the kid out of Arkansas over VanVleet?
Yeah, just because he's 6'7", and I think he's already got the package as far as from a movement standpoint.
Fair enough.
I'm for that just because I'm definitely on the draft and develop chain. I'm also on team trade Beal like you are, as far as getting rid of that contract as quickly as possible. Lynnell, I want to appreciate your time here on the best day in Washington franchise history.
Hopefully, man.
Hopefully. Last question from me though. What's the best case scenario for this Washington Wizards team next season?
Well, they hit on this draft pick. He comes in and he gives you really good minutes right away. You see Corey Kispert become more involved offensively and then use his shot and his scoring. And you get Kuzma signed long-term. I mean, for 3 or 4 years, you get Porzingis under contract. And Bradley Beal returns back to that 30-point per game type of score. Like, Bradley Beal can go, man. That's why he gets a lot of flack. There's a reason at first people were like, about the 250 because, Brad can give you 30 points a night. So there's that. You need him to get back into form. You need everybody to stay healthy. I think you got to be able to get a mid-level free agent like you hit on DeLon Wright last year. Another guy like that would be helpful. And I think maybe, I don't know, Monte Morris interests me. If you can get a starting point guard and slide him to the bench and then maybe use DeLon Wright as like a small forward next year. Because you saw how well he played defensively. I think he'll be better off. And get another big, get a third big. If they're going to start Daniel Gafford next to Kristaps Porzingis, I need a legit big coming off the bench, not Taj Gibson and Anthony Gill.
Yeah,
you can't say you're serious about winning and you're running out Taj Gibson and Anthony Gill. Like, you're just not serious.
What about Jay Huff?
How did I forget him? Actually, were you being sarcastic? Because I like Jay Huff.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
If you had some positive things, Stoner, to say about him last time we talked with.
He can stretch the floor. You saw it. It's legit. I'm outside, so I'm dealing with Mother Nature. Something just fell on me. He can spread the floor, and he won G League Defensive Player of the Year. He's long. I don't know. He's got to get some weight on his body. He's kind of small, but for the minutes you're going to ask him to play, I only need him to play 18 to 20 minutes a night. Like, and in some aspects, Gafford needs to stretch his jumper out to the 3-point line. Like, you can't. This is the modern day NBA, man. You can't have 5 guys on the floor and one guy can't shoot. Like, it's very easy to guard you. So,
I likened Gafford to Chandler from years back when you just have defense and alley oops as your main bread and butter, and that's just a game that doesn't translate into winning basketball. So,
you know what I said though, bro? Would you imagine if John Wall got to play with Daniel Gafford?
Oh man,
I would have loved that. So.
Right,
but timing's always off. Thanks, guys.
Well, we appreciate you, Lynnell. This is Lynnell Willingham from 106.7 The Fan. You can catch him all on there. What times can our viewers catch you?
The next time you can catch me is this Saturday, noon to 3:35 on 106.7 The Fan. Then my schedule's all over the place, man. Most nights you can catch me though, following Grant and Daniel.
Excellent.
It's good stuff. We enjoy what you do, so keep it up.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy this fine day, and until next time.
Yes, sir.
Be a fan.
Here we go.